Vision. Following clues left by our ancestors, we unbury the past to reveal a knowledge of unfathomable value, putting us just a little closer to our own true birthrights. From the secret history of a possible bloodline of Jesus Christ, to secret history of America's founders, to the secret history of extraterrestrial interaction on our planet, here to bring light to the night. Your host for Night Vision Radio, Renee Barnett.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Night Vision. I am your host, Renee Barnett, and I'm excited about tonight's show. I'm going to get right into it. As we usually do, we give out some information at the very top of the show. This sort of common knowledge. And as you guys know, I often turn to Wikipedia for that because I think that's what a lot of people do, so that you can see what's out there in the public purview. And then, of course, I like to have an expert on the subject on the show to either confirm that or deny it or add to it in some way. So what we're going to be discussing tonight is the U.S. government's psychic spying, so-called psychic spying program, or remote viewing program. Started out, they called it Stargate Project, and that was the 1991 code name for the secret U.S. Army unit established in 1978 at Fort Meade, Maryland, by the Defense Intelligence Agency, the DIA, and the SRI International to investigate the potential for psychic phenomena in military and domestic intelligence applications. The project and its precursors and sister projects originally went by various code names: Gondola Wish, Grill Flame, Center Lane, Project CF, Sunstreak, Scanate, until 1991, when they were consolidated and then became all under Project Stargate or Stargate Project. And it primarily involved remote viewing. According to Wikipedia, the purported ability to psychically see events, sites, or information from a great distance. The project was overseen until 1987 by Lieutenant Frederick Holmes, Skip Atwater, an aide and psychic headhunter to Major General Albert Stubblebine, and later he became the president of Monroe Institute. The unit was small scale, comprising about 15 to 20 individuals, and was run out of an old, leaky wooden barracks. The Stargate Project was terminated and declassified in 1995 after a CIA report concluded that it was never useful in any intelligence operation. Information provided by the program was vague and included irrelevant and erroneous data, and there was reason to suspect that its project managers had changed the reports so that they would fit background cues. The program was featured in the 2004 book and 2009 film, both titled The Men Who Stare at Goats, although neither mentions it by name. With that, I think I better bring on an expert. And tonight I have one of the very few of the actual viewers for our U.S. military, our government. I know there have been a lot of people that have claimed to be viewers in that program. Some of them were part of the program or might have been monitors, but there was a very tiny group of this elite selected group that were actually trained in these methods because of something that was seen in them to convince, I don't know if it was Skip Atwater or General Stubblebine, whoever, that they might be good for this program. So with that, I'm going to introduce Leonard Buchanan, or Lyn Buchanan to me. Hey, Lyn, how are you?
Okay, thank you for inviting me here. This is an honor. Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, it's always an honor to have you on. And, I love to get with you every now and then and catch up and see what you're doing. What I'm hoping to do is, pick your brain a little bit about the history of the program, and then how it actually got started, and then maybe further on into what you did after the program and things that you continue to be involved in even today. But
okay.
I was in a conversation with someone a couple days ago about remote viewing as it was set up by the government, and they were saying that they were asking me, weren't we the first to work in that area? And that of course we were, because we're America. But in my recollection, I believe that the Russians were a bit ahead of us on this, and were already doing a lot of research and experimentation into what was called parapsychology and those sorts of things. Am I wrong about that?
Oh, no. In fact, most of the countries most of the European countries were heavy into this before we got into it. And the reason we got into it was because there was a defector from Russia who tried to defect. The KGB killed him, but he managed to get some documents to us that told about many things, but one of them was the psychic spying effort of Russia. And generally everybody had a good laugh about that, but the intelligence community has a hard time laughing at anything. And so they said, well, let's look into it. And the Russians were not doing controlled remote viewing, or what's called remote viewing. They were doing, they were mainly interested in what they called hypnosis at a distance. So they were mainly interested in remote influencing.
Influencing people.
And they were doing some in collecting intelligence. But when the U.S. intelligence effort decided, well, let's look into it, they went out to Stanford Research Institute. Hal Puthoff and Russell Tarr got there to research, got in touch with two psychics. One was Pat Price, the other was Ingo Swann. And Ingo Swann developed controlled remote viewing, which wound up to be our psychic spying method. Yeah.
Wow. And so you followed those same protocols. And those are the protocols that you use today when you train other people, right?
That's right. Yeah, I stick with Ingo Swann. I mean, it works.
What an amazing person he was. What a genius. And just almost out there. He was so smart.
Yeah.
But I didn't realize, I knew he was involved, but I didn't realize that he was actually the one that developed those protocols. And what was he doing at that time that he was developing that? For what reason? Was it just...
He was working at the United Nations, and he got the job with Stanford Research to do this, and they called him out to California and started running him through these psychic tests, and finally he got sick and tired of it. He said, "What are you doing, wasting my time with this trivial stuff?" He said, "Pick any spot in the world and I'll tell you what's there." And found out that using this method that he had semi-developed at the time, he could tell you within 10 feet what was there, and so they started actually developing this method, and then at some point when they got it fairly well developed, they started bringing in military people, training us. Yeah.
Now, what did Pat Price? What was his part?
Pat Price was part of the Stanford research guinea pigs.
Oh, I see.
He was a retired cop, a tremendously good psychic, and there are questions about what happened to Pat Price. The general consensus is that the CIA stole him away and started using him surreptitiously. Nobody really knows.
You mean he disappeared?
Yeah, pretty well. Forget the name. The Secretary of Defense at the time made a comment. He said, Pat Price died, and we haven't seen him since.
I guess not. Oh,
Yeah.
I did not even know about that. That is so interesting. And
A lot of mystery
when was that he dropped out of sight?
That must have been around 78, 79, somewhere around there.
So really early on in the program.
Yeah, it was before I got there, yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's weird. That is really, really weird. And I wonder what that might have been all about. But you think maybe he knew too much, but wouldn't that be the same thing for Ingo? And of course, Ingo's...
I think he was so good that they found a better use for him rather than research.
So you don't think they killed him?
Oh, no.
Do you think they actually utilized him, and so he got some above top secret assignment? I see. Now, who were the actual viewers? Because there was only a handful, isn't that right?
Only a handful, yeah. There
was Joe McMoneagle and you.
Yeah, and Paul Smith, myself.
Yeah, Paul Smith.
And let's see, Tom McNear has come out now, and there were a few others, but I think at this point they're very glad to have their little White House, have children, the picket fence, and not ever let their neighbors know what they did for a living.
Wow. I wonder what made Tom McNear decide to come forward.
I'm not sure. He just actually surfaced to the public, I guess about 5 years ago. Yeah.
Wow.
He was a good viewer, very good viewer.
That's wild. And but other people, and I know you're not tearing anyone down, and you don't like to do that, but there have been other people that were purported to be viewers for the U.S. military, and possibly they had some participation in the program, but I'm talking about people like Ed Dames.
Well, now Ed was in our unit. Operationally, I kept the database as well as being a viewer. Mm-hmm. But operationally, as far as I know, he only worked one operation, and that was when everybody else was out on mission. But he came in. I had by the time he came in, I was both working the position of training officer and the trainer. And the position of training officer, which is just a pencil pushing position, was a major slot. Well, he came in as a captain, needing a promotion. He was up for promotion, and it was good if he could, be working in a major slot. So he became the training officer, assigning who was going to work that day, and and all that. And I just turned over to being the trainer. Yeah.
So he was like in an administrative type position, by and large.
Yeah, but he was in the unit. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And was Courtney Brown a part of it at all? I know he's...
No, he wasn't. He was a student of Ed Dames once Ed got out of service and was retired and started a, what was the name of his company? I forget what it was. Anyway, Courtney took training from Ed Dames, who had developed his own version of Inga Swan's method. And then Courtney went and started the Farsight Institute in Georgia, and has been training his version of Ed Dames' version of Inga Swan's.
Okay, so I mean, it seems to me like there would be either Inga Swan's version or not. Or did he alter it or in some way, or?
No, well, yeah, altered it. The Inga Swan version is very complex. I mean, Inga was a mega genius.
Oh gosh, yeah.
It's very complex, and not that easy to learn. And so when Ed created his version, he made it easier to learn, but based on basically the same principles. And so Ed's version works, until you get into the really nitty gritty, and then I'm not sure how it works beyond that.
And I mean, because I know one of the things, and probably one of the things that has precluded me from ever trying it is that I do know, of course I know you, and I know others who did take an interest and did do training, and the training is just like years, and it takes a long time to really...
Well, you've heard of the 100th monkey theory?
Yeah.
Joe Drake. We've reached the 100th monkey, and we can train people now, like in a year, if need be, to do a really passable job. Now, if you want to become a military grade and what Joe calls world-class remote, an expert remote viewer.
Mm-hmm.
It'll take a couple of years of work and practice and learning. If you want to become what Joe calls a world-class remote viewer, you start now, and maybe 8 or 10 years from now you'll get it. Yeah.
Oh wow. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. And the thing too is, I know that it takes discipline and concentration, and that's where I fall.
Quite a bit. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I fall really short. So I really admire people that are able.
I'm teaching online now, and we're having people come up with some pretty good successes. Just after a couple of weeks, but.
Wow.
That's just beginning successes, but I mean, they're coming along a whole lot faster than we did in the military,
Well, as you know, a few months back, I was involved in a production where we wanted to do a remote viewing session on a particular incident, and it happened to be, as it turned out, the viewers didn't know this, but it was the Lizzie Borden murders.
Oh,
And
yeah.
So you recommended Lori Williams,
Yeah.
and then Lori is one of your students, and she's also now a trainer and
Yeah.
has all these different students. So I think she had like maybe eight to 10 viewers
Yeah.
viewing this thing. They knew they were viewing a crime.
Yeah.
And that's all they knew. But it was amazing the consistency among the viewers
Oh,
that,
yeah. Mm.
how many said, oh, this is a murder. There's two victims, and
Yeah.
then describing the perpetrators. And they had some really interesting information. And I have to
Yeah.
say,
Yeah. And that level, working like police work and all that,
yeah.
these days, yeah, somebody can learn that within like a year. But when it
Oh, my
comes to
gosh.
drawing the floor plans of the building where some hostage is being held, or drawing a circuit board that's being developed over in some country and all that, that's, 99.99% of the people don't even need to bother with that. That's not, not necessary for them. So people these days are becoming operational very quickly. Yeah. But,
Do you think there's something else going on? I mean, not to get all weird or anything, but like, do you think that, as we evolve as a species, do you think that
yeah.
maybe our brains are also evolving to a point where
Well,
that's
yeah, but I think also probably just, the 100th monkey theory is based on the collective consciousness.
right?
Psychiatrists like to say the collective unconscious, but it's the collective mind is very conscious. And just like in remote viewing, we talk about the, psychiatrists and psychology, mental health people talk about the conscious and the unconscious. We have learned that the unconscious is very conscious, and in fact, learning controlled remote viewing is establishing a line of communications to that, and so we now call it the subconsciousness, the subconscious rather than the unconscious.
Right.
And so we may still say the unconscious is a noun, but we would never say it as an adjective because that part is not unconscious.
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting. I have a quick question from the chat room, Lyn, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
ERRT says, what is the preparation for a remote viewer when doing a remote view? Is there any special preparation for doing a session? Like if you're getting ready to sit down and do a session?
Basically, you have to kind of get everything else out of your mind and just focus completely on the remote viewing session. And there are basically 3 quote tools that we have at the very beginning of the session. One is called the cool down, and that is individual to every different viewer. You just concentrate on something else. Some people listen to music, some people meditate. I know one of my students goes out into the yard and stacks rocks, balancing on top of each other to make this tall thing, and the concentration on that gets everything else out of his mind. Then we have a tool called the mental sanctuary, where you go in and you go through this process of leaving the cares and the worries of the day behind you and getting ready to work. And then when you start the session, anything that's left to pollute your session, we have a tool called the set aside, where you just set it aside for the period of the session. After this session, I've got to go to the grocery store or something like that. And you set that aside, and then at the end of the session, you go back to that first page and you review those things, and now what do I need to pick back up and go do?
Mm-hmm.
And so you train yourself that for this 30 minutes, I'm not going to worry about needing to go to the store.
Right.
And you put it up in your mind. It's a training thing. It's a martial art. It really is.
Is there a sensory deprivation part? I mean, do you? Is it better to be in total silence? And
yeah, some people have tried that, and it works for some people. Some people it just bothers them. The aloneness of the sensory deprivation and all that. The cool down. For me, if I do one of those meditations or something, it just destroys me. What I do is I will, if I have a very important session to do, I will go clean the car, mow the lawn, do the session, sweep the floor, do something else, and just make it a 1, 2, 3, just another job in the
yes, something to check off, of your list.
Yeah, something to check off the list, and that way, when I get to the session, I'm not worried about anything else except my next job. Which is the remote. Yeah. Right.
That's a good way to do it.
Individual. Everybody has their own way of focusing.
Yeah. I can totally understand that. I have certain little rituals, that I have to have this in this place and that in that place, and then I'm ready to go. But it's there are certain little things I have to just have set up just right, and then I'm fine. Otherwise, I'm just distracted like crazy. But and this is a little bit, off the wall possibly, but I've noticed that a lot of people that have spent a lot of time in the military, and a lot of people that have done other kinds of service, like astronauts and people like that, but definitely high-ranking military people that have retired, they seem to they're living these military lives all their lives, and then they retire, and suddenly you see them and they've got a ponytail and they're all spiritual, and it's like, okay, what is this about? Is that because you think of some of the things that they might have been privy to that the general public is not, that sort of changed their way of thinking?
Yeah, sometimes that may be it, but I know when I got out of service, I had spent basically 20 years working with other people on a mission. We all worked together for the same thing, and the mission was it.
Mm-hmm.
And when I got out of service, I went to work for a computer development company, and I was amazed. It was cutthroat. Everybody was trying for the next raise and the next promotion, and
wow.
It was, and for the first time, I think, in my career, I felt unsafe.
Wow.
Stick me out on the battlefield. I've got my buddies protecting me, but business office and you're in danger.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's true. It's like when you're a part of a team, there is definitely not only comfort in that and protection in that, but there's some kind of, symbiosis that starts going on. And I feel like you accomplish exponentially so much more if everyone is working toward one goal. And and I can see how that would be a little bit of a culture shock to come out of that type of environment and then just out here where it's like dog eat dog in the Shark Tank.
This is one of the reasons why, ex-military come out, they get into a job, and pretty soon they can't take it. And so they just, head for the loneliest desert where there are no barbers.
Yeah. Exactly. And then a lot of times, but they start talking, about, spiritual matters and even, ETs and different things that you wouldn't have heard from them. Not many.
Some of that may be from experiences. Yeah. Mm.
Right. Like, remember people, astronauts and others that, have interviewed over the years, and, they seem to come back with a different view. And I think it also has something to do with the astronauts, with just being out there and looking back on the Earth and getting a whole different perspective on things.
Yeah, but it changes you, yeah. Mm.
Now, I have another question from the chat room. It was actually very similar to one I was just getting ready to ask you myself, but I think it's slightly different. So I'm going to ask mine first, and then I'm going to ask this one next. But I was wondering, during your time in the military, what is the most compelling situation that you had that you can talk about?
Oh, okay. I'm glad you put that caveat in there.
I know.
Yeah.
And are you ever going to be able to talk about anything, everything? Or is this going to be, are you under some kind of directive until the day you die?
Oh, well, no. I guess the last 17 years of my service, the last 19 years of my 20, I was in one classified, unit and facility, and another all the way up to when I got out, the company that I went to work for, I was back in an even higher classification. I can't even talk about that company or that work. And so, there's a lot.
And that's forever?
Military career that I can't talk, that I probably could talk about, but I'm a firm believer in security and that some things should remain secret. And
because of reasons of national security, or?
Oh yeah, that's the reason. Yeah.
Yeah.
Loosely.
Not because somebody just told you not to say it, but.
Yeah.
But because you know better.
No, there are a lot of things I could say, but I know that they're still classified, and
right.
I'm beyond being prosecuted for it, but I think they should stay classified. I think,
Well, I mean, you have to certainly, use your own judgment about that, and and it's an honorable way to look at it for sure. Certainly if you feel like there are security implications.
Yeah, lives could be at stake, and so I'm not gonna do that.
Let me try to back into a question then. All right, can you say, were you ever tasked with the military, not since, at looking at possible extraterrestrial interaction with Earth.
Okay, I'm very glad you formed it that way. We were never officially tasked with that.
Do you know why? Were they just more interested in what was going on, with our adversaries?
Our job was saving soldiers and collecting intelligence on the countries. So we were never officially tasked with that.
Never officially. Okay. If you weren't officially tasked with it, then it wouldn't be secret, would it? Or would it?
Oh, if we were officially tasked with it,
it would be secret. But if you were unofficially,
it'll be secret. Yeah. But if a 4-star general or a senator or congressman or somebody higher than that comes in and walks up to your desk and says, I'd like for you to look at something for me, that's not an official task. But what are you going to say? No to a 4-star general? No, you're not going to say that. Yeah. So anyway, we were never officially tasked with any such targets. Yeah.
Were you unofficially?
Tasked?
Yes.
No, asked.
Yeah. Oh, so you were at least asked. And are you able to talk about any of that?
People are curious. People are curious, yeah.
Of course.
And there are, well, it has come out lately about the work we did about, and it was unofficial tasking. Mm-hmm. It was an unofficial asking, practice targets and all that, considered as practice targets. But Pat Price had found 4 ET bases on the Earth. Said there are more, and there are. And
are they underground?
I'm sorry?
Are they underground?
Yeah, they're underground. Yeah, and so we were asked to collect intelligence on them, but we were never officially tasked to.
Wow. That is wild. Now, I've got a good question for you from the chat room. I've still got to get back to the other one too. But Proteus says, what about tasking the future? Or was that a Major Ed Dame's turf? Was that Major Ed Dame's turf? So remote viewing the future.
Yeah, and we did a lot of research in that. So did SRI, and developed another kind of remote viewing called associative remote viewing, which most people now are using to bet on ball games and roulette wheels and the lottery and all that, and having some success with it. I have an online course for that, by the way. But as far as the standard remote viewing is concerned, the controlled remote viewing, we kept track and we kept data. And basically what we found is that, like, if I predict what's going to happen tomorrow, okay, then what I'm looking at is today's future. Now, we have an analogy that goes along with this. Controlled remote viewers asked by the police to tell where the criminal is going to be at 9 o'clock tonight. And the remote viewer does his work, and he finds that the criminal is going to be at Joe's Bar and Grill eating dinner. Okay? Wow. So at 8:30, the police go out and hide in the bushes, and at 8:45, the criminal walks up to Joe's Bar and Grill. They jump out and arrest him, and at 9 o'clock, he's in jail. Okay? So, was the viewer wrong? No, the viewer saw today where he was going to be, but you can change the future. And it's the same thing, if I were to, was the viewer wrong? If
maybe not at the moment, maybe.
Not at the moment, because you changed the future. If the viewer had said at 9 o'clock he will be in jail, they would never have gone out to Joe's Bar and Grill, and at 9 o'clock he'd be sitting there eating lunch, eating dinner,
Right.
And so, like if I view myself tomorrow evening and I find myself lying on a slab in the morgue because of a bad car wreck, I'm staying home tomorrow.
You ain't going nowhere.
And you can change the future, yeah. But, all future things being as they are right
at
now.
the moment. Yeah.
I can tell you what the future will be. But then, let's go change it. Yeah, change it for the better.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which makes my session wrong.
Right, which is good. Which is a good thing. Now, ERRT asked another question. This was the one that I skipped over before, because it's what has been your most important case. And I'm reading that as maybe not just military, but everything. So do you have something? I mean, you've had a lot of important stuff. I know you did that serial killer thing that time with the little girl that was missing and dead. Yeah, in Virginia.
I think my most important one was there's a missile that was missing. And session I did, I don't know how much I can say about this, really. I found out that...
Yeah, I was just getting ready to start shooting questions, and I thought, he's not going to answer me.
Yeah, Saddam Hussein had it, and had it aimed toward the Holy of Holies in Mecca. And at the Feast of Ramadan, when all the
oh my gosh,
there, he was going to lob it in. It was an American missile, and kill them all. And he was conveniently sick that time, and that left him. That would leave him as the basically the only ruler of the Muslim world to wage war against the U.S.
Oh my gosh!
And if the entire Muslim countries, set of Muslim countries, and had gone to war against the U.S., we could not have won at that time. And
wow.
I think that was possibly my most important session I've ever done.
Gosh, I would say so.
There's, I've been trying to get the records of it. I know that one part of that session has been declassified, but not the rest of it, But anyway.
Wow. So that was after your retirement?
No, that was while I was in, yeah.
Oh. When did you leave?
I left in 96.
Oh, I didn't realize that. I thought you had already gone in 95 when, Project Stargate kind of went public.
It was in January of 96, yeah, so I was there through 95, yeah.
I see. Oh, so you were there to the bitter end of the program. Not really.
Stargate lasted for, I think, another year and a half afterwards, but, you read that thing in the very beginning. When Stargate was closed down, they demanded all of the records so that the American Institute of Research could go over the records and evaluate our work. Well, the classified stuff never got to them. So they boxed up all of the practice sessions that we did, took them to the American Institute of Research, and the AIR report, AIR, came out that, none of it was useful for anything. Well, our practice sessions weren't useful for anything. And when they went to pick up the paper, the boxes of papers afterwards, they had never opened. They were still
Oh my
sealed
gosh.
when they delivered. And so the AIR report, we find out later, took some sessions from some, I think, some work done at SAIC that was civilian work, and that's what they based it on. And Jessica Utz, a statistician, gave her report to the AIR, and that the work that she reviewed was statistically significant, showing that there was something there. The other person was Ray Hyman, who was a amazing Randy wannabe, and it's just a joke. And part of his report said that this was all garbage, and that all the statistics indicated that it was significant, that he would recommend that the project be disbanded until the science of statistics could get its act together.
What?
Can you imagine that? Yeah.
Oh,
Anyway,
that sounds crazy. My goodness. They were
going to close it down. They just wanted some kind of a paper trail that they could have.
Yeah.
Justify. Yeah.
Exactly. We've got just a couple minutes left, but Eternal Being asks, has it ever been determined if any ET activity has made an impression on human development? Do you have an answer for that?
I don't, actually. It's my firm belief that, yes, there has been technology transfer. And, of course, with that technology transfer, then, yeah, I'm sure it's made a difference, yeah. Uh-huh.
Wow. And just before we close out here, have you viewed anything that you want to share about 2021 at all? I should have asked you this before.
Actually, I haven't. The last 7 years, we took care of my mother before her death, and it was my wife took care of her like every 15 minutes from 8 in the morning to 8 in the evening. I took care of her every 15 minutes from 8 at night to 8 in the morning. And then after my mother passed away, the toll on it, my wife was sick, and my wife just died about 4 weeks ago.
Oh, and, Lyn, I'm so sorry.
Oh, yeah, I am
I'm
too.
so sorry. Oh, my God.
And so,
I did not know.
Active work, as far as active work, it's been several years. The Lizzie Borden case, when
right.
you came to that, I passed you off to somebody that I knew was capable of taking care of it, but I also knew that I wasn't at the time,
Oh my goodness, I'm in a little bit of a shock here, but I'm so sorry, Lyn. I know you guys had a wonderful, wonderful relationship, and so rare, and oh goodness. please let me know if there's anything I can do.
Oh, thank you very much.
You know, my line is always open 24 hours a day.
Thank you. If anybody wants to try their hand at doing some targets, you can go to my website, which is crviewer.com, and go to free resources, and there's one called Target of the Week. We have a little over 450 targets on there that you bring it up, it gives you the coordinates, you write down the coordinates, and then start recording, in writing, what impressions come to you. And after you finish and you say, okay, I've had enough of this, then you go back to that target, you open it up, and it shows you the feedback, and you can judge how well you did. We don't track anybody. We don't track anybody who comes to the site. I don't believe in that. And so, if anybody wants to try their hand at it.
Ooh, I might do that. I didn't know you could do that. Oh, I might do that. So it's crviewer.com.
crviewer.com, yeah.
Great. And, well, thank you so much.
I am teaching online now.
I know you got a bunch of Tasmanian students, don't you?
Oh, yeah.
That's your one big group.
China, yeah.
Absolutely. Oh, well, that's wonderful. I'm glad you're carrying on with your work. It's much, much needed. And thank you so much for training up people in the right way. That's really great. But I think it's time to say goodnight. I hope everybody will join me next week. We're going to be talking about the Kennedy assassination and so much more. So please join us next week. And thank you again, Lyn Buchanan. Everybody go to crviewer.com and check it out. See if you've got some interest there. Take care, everybody. Good night. God bless you, Lyn.